Canal Plus has partnered with Netflix to bundle its content onto its platform to its 20 Francophone countries in Africa. Is this a win for Netflix, or would it be otherwise another challenge just as they faced whilst they were in Netflix Niger or Netflix, I mean, in Nigeria whilst they were operating? We'll be delving into an article to find out what they have in store for these 20 Francophone countries. And moving on to the Legend of Zelda, Shigeru Miyamoto has announced the postponement of the adaptation, the game adaptation, from the first date of March 2026 to now May 2026, for reason that he stated to improve upon the quality of the production. Is that the case? We'll be delving more into an article that explains further why the move or the shift. This and more right here on the Film Mandate. My name is Papa O2. Stay tuned. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Film Mandate, where I bring to you movie news, reviews, and reactions both from the African front and international scene. So today we'll be delving into an exciting story for Africans, particularly in the Francophone countries. And as it seems, El Canal Plus exists in a lot of these Francophone countries, and on one hand, Netflix have not been able to successfully have a grip on the African market, perhaps as they would have wanted to. So, for those who have paid attention to developing stories in the past, I mean, for stories that have come about concerning the streaming giants in Africa, particularly in with their presence in Nigeria, Netflix had to cut down on its presence in terms of film production that they've been funding to to win the market in Nigeria because of losses and other challenges. And Amazon had to withdraw completely. But it looks like this is an exciting news for Netflix, looking at the fact that Canal Plus has partnered with them to sort of secure a portion of the market in Africa, which is even far bigger than what Nigeria perhaps would have, I mean, was offering to Netflix. And in an article published in the Hollywood Reporter, Canal Plus to distribute Netflix in Francophone Africa in landmark pact. The French pay TV player inked a first of its kind deal with the streaming giant to bring Netflix content to 24 French speaking countries across sub Saharan Africa. This article was written by Boxborough. Scott Boxborough. And I read, Canal Plus has signed a first of its kind distribution deal with Netflix that will see the French pay TV player carry Netflix content for countries across sub Saharan Africa. Starting next month, Canal Plus will offer its subscribers across 24 French speaking African countries Netflix original content from global hits such as Stranger Things, Money Heist, Squid Game, and Emily in Paris to the streamer's African production slate, which includes South African drama Blood and Water, Nigerian series Blood Sisters, and reality series Young, Famous, and African. Canal Plus is already a leading player in Africa with operations in 25 countries through 16 subsidiaries and reported 8 million subscribers. The French group currently operates 28 pay TV channels dedicated to African audiences. The French group is currently in the process of acquiring Pan-African pay TV group MultiChoice, the continent's largest pay TV player, which operates in 50 countries with 19.3 million subscribers. Netflix does not break out its subscriber figures for Africa, combining them in the larger Europe, Middle East, and Africa region. But the streamer is estimated to have fewer than 5 million subscribers on the continent, with the vast majority of those in the English speaking countries of South Africa, Nigeria, and Kenya. Our millions of African subscribers will benefit from a unique offer, bringing together the best of Canal Plus and Netflix content in a joint package. And Pascal Chabet, Chief Content Acquisition Officer of Canal Plus, in a statement, this new agreement demonstrates Canal Plus's ability to extend its unique super aggregation model beyond the European content. During the pandemic era, the streaming boom, Netflix, along with other global streamers, invested heavily in original African content in a bid to boost subscriber numbers and touted the continent with its low streaming penetration rates and large young population as a future growth market. However, as Wall Street has changed its metric of success from subscriber growth to revenue per user, Africa slipped out of focus for the global streamers. Unlike Amazon Prime, which cuts its investment in original programming on the continent, Netflix continues to back African originals with such South African series as King of Joburg and Fatal Seduction. Yeah, so that is indeed what is happening now. And I think as it stands now, this indeed happens to be a good move for Netflix, looking at the fact that they, per the metric change as instituted by Wall Street, the success per just the numbers wasn't indeed good enough, but rather success per user in terms of revenue, and it changed the dynamics for them in terms of revenue generation and success. So as it stands now, Netflix happens to be just in a couple of countries. Maybe in Nigeria it still exists, but not on the scale that they would have wanted. And also in South Africa, which happens to be, I think, their biggest market to date in on the continent. And as it stands now, they have just, I think, 5 million, roughly 5 million subscribers to the service. That is the Netflix service. So with Canal Plus offering this deal or whatever agreement they came into, it is indeed a positive development for Netflix or a venture for Netflix, seeing that Canal Plus is in 24 countries, and then they are going to bundle the Netflix service onto their about 20 or something TV pay channels that exist on their platform. And as the article itself said, they already that is Canal Plus has been able to penetrate it into the market through about 16 subscriber other outlets, subscribe outlets, to ensure that they have a foothold in the African continent. And it stated further that they are likely to, or they are in the process of acquiring, that is the pay TV multi-choice platform, which is the biggest in Africa, and on meaning that this, when it finally goes through, Canal Plus and Netflix would have a larger share of the African market, because with the multi-choice platform, they have an estimated total of about 19 million subscribers. And that is indeed a big deal. We're looking at the fact that if you combine all these things, you are talking about 30 million plus subscribers in all. That is when you consider both the Canal Plus volume of people they have about 8 million, Netflix having their own 5 million in the market, and then now adding it up to the 90 million that the multi-choice brand stands to offer. So this indeed is a good opportunity for the streaming giants. The only question here is that will they stick to also creating or generating African content? That is where the dilemma is for the the African audience that are subscribed to these services? So those are the questions that perhaps and in a latter time they may address. But it looks like they would be maintaining a number of the African content they already have, just as the article stated that the Kings of Joburg and other content will still be on those platforms. And looking at the fact that if they definitely want the African audience to keep subscribing to these services, there is indeed a need for them to keep on creating African content to sustain their interest. Otherwise, there's going to be the likelihood of churning where subscribers may subscribe only when the content they like is on the platform. So definitely it's a big deal or a big win for Netflix when finally all the chips fall in place. So Canal Plus indeed has now become perhaps the vehicle that Netflix would be able to have a foothold, on a larger scale in Africa. So yeah, that is indeed a big win for the Netflix deal, especially penetrating into the Francophone service that they may not have as yet. But it looks like this is nothing new. Looking at the fact that Canal Plus, together with Netflix, was able to penetrate into the French and the Poland market. So it's a model they've already done before, and I'm sure based on the success of that one, they chose to pursue this, and it looks like it's actually a done deal, if I may suggest or guess. Actually, if I may guess, so indeed, it is a big deal or a big partnership that would change the the streaming game in Africa if things go on well. I don't know how other streaming services competing can stand if Canal Plus actually is able to acquire the multi-choice TV pay platform. So, well, in the coming weeks or months, we will definitely know how it turns out to be and be able to um, guess or find out more as to what is happening. So moving on from the story in Africa to Hollywood, the Legend of Zelda live-action adaptation is in development, and it's actually been in development for the past 2 years. That is 2023 when it was announced, and now there's been an update on it, and that is published in the Variety article saying that the Legend of Zelda live action movie moves to May 2027. So, pardon me, I said 2026 in my introduction. It's actually 2027, and that is by Pat Saperstein. Saperstein, yeah. So I read the Legend of Zelda live action movie will move from March to May 7th, 2027. Sony and Nintendo announced. The new date was freed up when Avengers Secret Wars moved to December 17, 2027. Originally set for March 26th, 2027, Zelda series creator Shigeru Miyamoto said in a statement it would shift several weeks later for production reasons. This is Miyamoto. For production reasons, we are changing the release date of the live action film of The Legend of Zelda to May 7th, 2027. It will be some weeks later than the release timing we originally announced, and we will take the extra time to make the movie or the film as good as it can be. Thank you for your patience, and said Nintendo's statement. Wes Ball directs the live-action version of Nintendo's Legend of Zelda game, with Shigeru Miyamoto and Avi Arad producing. Ball directed the Maze Runner trilogy and last summer's Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Uh, uh, yeah, casting and story have not yet been announced. Have not yet been announced. So, as it stands now, the Legend of Zelda movie is still coming off as planned, just that it's been postponed a few weeks later. And I think it's still exciting news for particularly the Legend of Zelda fans who are bent on seeing their beloved game adapted onto the silver screen. And this is actually made possible looking at the fact that a number of the video game adaptation currently have been making big hits both on the TV screens and also on the silver screen, the movie screen. So it is of no surprise that The Legend of Zelda was announced, particularly with the massive success of Nintendo's um, the Super Mario, movie, the Super Mario Brothers movie, and it is indeed exciting in the times we find ourselves in that most of the video games adaptation are making it big. If we can even talk of the Minecraft movie recently, which is almost close to $1 billion. And yes, commercially it is really successful. And it looks like that is the era we find ourselves in now, where a lot of these video game adaptations are really loved by not just the general fans or film fans, but particularly they bring together their audience, those who play those games, to the market, the film market itself. So it is indeed a positive plus for the Legend of Zelda. Looking at the fact that from different article I read, the Legend of Zelda slot is actually competing. That is the old slot or the old date of March 2027 is what would have been competing with Sonic the Hedgehog. And I don't know how big of a market the Legend of Zelda is. Maybe in the game market is far bigger than Sonic, but currently as it stands now, because Sonic have had a foothold already into the film market or in adaptation, it has an advantage over The Legend of Zelda. I'm sure fans of The Legends of Zelda would argue that it would obliterate Sonic. But as it stands now, Sonic has been successful with the three installations that have already come into that is the development adaptation of the games into film. They have been quite successful. So it means that Sonic actually has an audience for the film market than Zelda, which have not been tested yet. So I think it is a smart move on the part of Nintendo and Sony to have moved it from that particular date to a few weeks later. If you are talking about video game adaptation wars on the silver screen, and I think it's good for them because they occupy the slot because of the move of Avengers Secret Wars from that May slot to the December market. So it's free apps at least that particular uh, weekend for Zelda to make some good money if only the movie is good. If only the movie is good. And looking at the fact that it is going to be directed by Wes Ball, who have had success with directing Maze Runner and also the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, it looks like he is actually the perfect director for this project. And not just that, but he happens to be a super fan. I don't know what that means, but it means that he's really, really a fan of the Legend of Zelda video game. So he is bringing not just his expertise as a film director to bear on this project, but also having an understanding of the game itself, the law, and everything that concerns the game itself. He seems to be the right fit to direct this production and being able to tap into from both worlds to make that a success. So, indeed, it looks like they've chosen the right director to helm this project and make it work. And that is what we are hoping for, that this also become a success, not just commercially but also critically, because most of the video game adaptation has a nostalgia element that lends itself to naturally be commercially successful in this era. I would say in this era, because in time past most game adaptation or video game adaptation to movies have not done well commercially, and it's actually been a big worry for studios. But nowadays, it's been successful commercially, and sometimes the storylines don't really work out well as expected. So to be able to rope in also the movie going audience who may not know anything at all about the video games, it is our hope that the stories of these video games are more formidable than it used to be and also remain commercially successful as well. So yes, it is exciting for the video game industry seeing that their films or their IPs are being adapted into movies, which maybe in turn would win even more film audience into going to play the game as well. So yes, it is exciting for these times, and we are hoping that a lot more of these properties would be adapted into movies, and that's what we are looking forward to. So yeah, this indeed is my second story, and it sums up my stories for today. I hope you enjoyed the conversation today, and I'll be coming your way once again with another exciting episode of the Film Mandate. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I'll come your way again tomorrow with some new stories that are in the offing. My name is Papa Otu, and this has been the Film Mandate. See you soon.